Hey, good morning. I've been missing you guys all week, but Gurney and I have been on a little bit of a delayed celebration of 25 years of marriage, a little bit of R&R, so I haven't gotten a chance to get on. But I did want to come on and share Dvar Torah and also speak. I watched yesterday as they commemorated Yom HaZikaron, and they commemorated over 25,000 soldiers who have given their lives for the holy land of Israel to protect the Jewish people of Israel and all over the world. And then they go on to celebrate the miracles that God has given to the Jewish people, that we were able to return to our land, and that majority of Jews live in the land of Israel. And they especially have them next to each other day after day to remember that to be a Jew, every celebration we have, every miracle we have takes tremendous sacrifice, as it did with with Israel, and as it did throughout our history. But it also takes a personal note, because yesterday on my family chat of my dad's family in Israel, all my cousins, they posted a picture as they all went to the grave of my uncle, my father's brother, who was 2 years older than him, who was killed when my dad was only 20 years old. And my dad always told me how the state of Israel actually put a flag on my grandmother's grave to commemorate her sacrifice, because she was killed in 1948 before the state was declared by Jordanian terrorists in front of my father's eyes. And then my father ended up in yeshiva in a dorm, and he was 20 years old. And he remembers when the IDF came to inform him that his brother was killed, and how one tragedy led to another. And now, 60 years later, more than 60 years later, 65 years later, we got a picture of all of my father's living siblings and many of their descendants praying at the grave of their hero, my uncle, on Yom HaZikaron. But the truth is that if you have a cousin or an uncle or family who lost their lives to protect Israel and the Jewish people, or if you don't have an immediate family member, we are all family and we're all connected. And that's what I wanted to share with you today. If you go back and you read about the Beilis trial, the fame tried to accuse Menachem Beilis, where they tried to accuse Menachem Beilis of killing a young boy. During the trial, they brought up the famous Talmud that says, Atem kruyim Adam, that the Jewish people are called Adam. And they wanted to use it as proof that we don't believe that anyone other than the Jews is human. And interestingly enough, today, in all the hate and anti-Semitism online, they try to bring proofs from the Talmud. And it was tasked on some of the greatest rabbis to defend Menachem Beilis against this idea. And one of the rabbis got up there and he said like this, in this week's Torah portion, when it speaks about the Jewish people and being careful not to speak gossip, it calls us Adam. It doesn't call us Ish. Why does it call us Adam? And why does the Talmud say that only Atem kruyim Adam? And he said something remarkable. He said everything in Israel has the singular and the plural. You have a tapuach, which is an apple, and then you have tapuchim, which are apples. If you go in any word in Hebrew, you have Ish and Anashim, a man and men. Isha, a woman, and Nashim, the plural. There's one word that doesn't have a plural, and that's Adam. The singular and the plural is the same. And Rabbi Shapira said, only the Jewish people, when one person does something, they blame all of us. When they accuse one person, everyone is blamed. Think about Mr. Beilis, who was accused falsely, but the pogroms and the way the entire Jewish people and the entire Talmud came on trial. And he said like this, He said there's no one in the world, there's no nation, there's no people that are so intertwined that we are accused and our whole nation is put on trial. But the flip side to that is that the same takes place in the positive. Think about how the Jewish people have risen to defend the IDF, to defend our brothers and sisters in Israel after October 7th. Think about the love. Think about the dedication. Think about the people who have gone to volunteer, the people who have been on social media, the people who have donated, the people who have prayed, the people who have brought in loved ones to stay in their homes. There is no nation, there is no people. Atem, Kriyim Adam. We are called Adam because the singular and the plural are intertwined. We're one. There's a famous story of Rabbi Norman Lamb, who was the head of Yeshiva University, who says how he remembers when he was on a cruise. And it was right when the Entebbe story happened. And they were on the cruise and they heard that Israel rescued all the Jews who were kidnapped and in Entebbe, in Nairobi. And he says there was one young kid, he was 20 years old, a simple Israeli, who was a waiter, who never went to the army, who didn't know nothing about what was done. And suddenly, in the joy, the Gentiles, the Jews, everyone was celebrating. They lifted this boy, they hoisted him on their shoulders, and they started dancing with him and celebrating Israel. Because when it comes to anything, the good and the bad, we are all intertwined. Arevim Kol Yisrael Zeh B'Zeh, one is connected to the other. And it makes me think about the miracles that we've witnessed with the fires in Jerusalem yesterday. And then we have to thank Hashem, Israel, which gets so little rain, and suddenly yesterday when the fires are raging, it started pouring rain. And I saw this morning that they told people that were evacuated that they could go back home, although the fires might rage up again, but things are under control. 5,000 acres near Jerusalem have been destroyed, but the Jewish nation will rebuild. We will stand strong and we will continue, because Atam Kriyim Adam, we are one. And the message, of course, is of the Torah portion, not to speak gossip. The whole idea of Lashon Hara, of not speaking evil talk, about embracing one another, about loving one another, about accepting us the way we are, about being united, about not letting our differences and ideas and those who want to separate us be successful. Have an awesome day. See you back in Boston later. I'm Yisrael Chai.